So I am pretty bored right now. I've been watching 1.5 hours of people eating on the internet. So it's really kind of boring, but it keeps seems to keep my interest. But I'm watching that instead of watching TV. I'm just being a loner in my room, and it's like now I'm bored and I'm getting up. So the first thing I thought I would do is show how well my plant is growing. These things that are like feelers or something on the plant are now touching the soil and crawling everywhere, so they're having fun digging around. Um, so yeah, and I released the leaves. This was wrapped in that because it's the parent stem of the whole entire plant, and I said, "Oh, you don't need to be in that." So I managed to release it from its position, and now it's growing just as well as all the other leaves. So hasn't damaged the plant at all. In fact, I just set it free. But I guess the purpose of I'm not really sure about plants. I don't know much about plants, so I'm like, oh, maybe there's something why it's been tied up because it's supposed to be separated a certain distance from this outward stem that comes from it, but I don't really know. I mean, I don't really get it. The plant itself, it seems like a vine to me. It's like some weird thing. I don't know the mechanics of why one bit's here and this viney thing's there and that other bit's there. So um, it's all like strange. But I know if like a piece breaks off and you put it in water, it regrows and you can make a new plant. We've already done that because when we bought it, a piece fell off. A little stem, something that looked like that, fell off, and so we put it in water with the idea of making another plant out of it. So we did not leave it behind. This is growing a little bump here. Don't know what that is. I think plants are interesting, but I don't really get them all the time because I don't know anything about plants. I know that these are generally called feelers, but I don't actually know what they do. Um, they just seem to crawl around, and I'm sure they're going to dig themselves into the soil or something, but I don't actually know their purpose of whether they're just going to form a new stem, like maybe become chunky like this, or whether it just provides nutritional support because it's like some sort of feeder towards the bigger stem of this plant or what. So I'm like, I don't really know them, but they're a little fragile. They're fun to flick around. And it seems that they don't really need to go into the soil, but the soil is where they're sort of digging. So obviously now that they're growing down, but they're doing very well. Whatever the case, the whole plant's doing very well. It's very strong. The other plant that the other person in the house was left with, they're convinced it's not really doing very well. They've put it in a few different places and not feeding it very much water and then feeding it a little bit of fertilizer. So it seems to be, it's still strong, but they seem to be thinking, oh, it's not doing so well here and there. Whereas this one, I just plunked it on here, and it's like, it seems to be growing very well. So I'm very happy with my plant. So this is officially my plant. They wanted the elephant ear plant, which has really big, thick, Jurassic kind of leaves like an elephant's ear. I don't remember what this plant was called. I seem to think it's some sort of vine. So, but it's got a particular cut, and it's very attractive. I mean, not many indoor plants have this kind of cut, and it's like that's sort of the appeal of the plant. And the fact that it climbs is the other appeal. So, as it grows taller, it'll need a longer one of those things in the middle, but You could probably leave it against a wall and have it like grow up your wall or something. I don't really know, but it seemed, yeah. I don't know how big it gets either. I'm assuming maybe double the size of what it is now. um, but uh, yeah, no, but I'm very happy with it. I think it looks really cute. This is my other plant. It's growing nice and big. It's had some of the shoots of it have kind of crumbled and died. That's not the only one. There's been like 3 or 4 of those. When I put it in the shower room, a lot of these began looking like this color. Then I was like, oh, this isn't doing very well in here. So I put it back in my bedroom, and I've noticed that it's getting quite a bit taller. So even though a couple of those little limbs didn't make it, seems that the green ones that are growing bigger and bigger seem to be doing well. This one is an Indole Palm. I think it's called the Palm, but it's a little baby one. So it's supposed to be like quadruple the height of what it is now. So when it gets bigger, it'll be like a nice big bushy palm. I don't really see it because at the moment it looks like it's always going to be a small little runty palm that sits on a desk, but it is supposed to be a nice big palm. So I've had it for probably around 2 years now, I guess. And it's this big now. So it's like 30 centimeters tall. So palms are like palms are like up near that curtain rung, so it's got a long way to go. So they're fairly big and they're kind of bushy and shady, but they're good for indoors. So the large size of it is quite attractive, and I'm really glad that I have a palm because I love palms. Palms are so nice. I like this one too though. It's my little vine. I'm not giving either of these ones away. This is like my present. Officially, the 2 plants were my present, but yeah, the person liked the other one so much. It was like the expensive one. It was like $40. This one was like $12, and they're like, "I want this one for me." And I'll be like, oh, "Okay, well, I'll just keep this one. I like it, you know." And so this is like officially, now that like it's officially mine. It's like it's gonna stay with me forever wherever I go, sort of thing. So yeah, but I'm glad. It's very I wasn't sure about these bowls at first, but now that they're in their house and decorating, it's like these are very nice. They were like $15 each for this plant pot holder, and it's like so attractive. Like I'm never sure about decor. Like I always think, oh, I think this one's the nicest one, and so I'm sort of leaving. I need advice, you know, what kind of decor actually goes, because I get confused. I just pick out really nice things, but I don't really pick out necessarily practical things or things that match with other things. So, you know, this tabletop spread, I would never have chosen that because I don't know they exist, and yet the other person did, and they well, I chose 2 blue ones. I knew I wanted blue, but I didn't really know what design, and I thought, oh, the other design is so pretty, and it had like blue flowery kind of pattern, and this one was like, oh, that one's really boring. I didn't really like it. And then, you know, I was sort of added it just in case, and it's like, this is the one that goes better with the room. So but I've never bought these things, you know. I didn't even know where they're sold or what they were. So it's like, they're called a specific name, something starting with C, like a chandelier or something. But I don't actually know what they're called, but yeah. But I never ever would have ever thought of buying them. So it's the other person in the house that sort of knows all this decor stuff. Otherwise, I just shove something that looks like a scarf over the top if I want some blanketing on top of the desktop. So yeah, so I usually do the bare desktop thing, but I have been known to put like a draping bit of material over the top of this and stuff. So, but I've never bought this. So it's good that I'm living with someone that can give me a few tips, because they don't often offer them just off the hand. I have to be like living with them to learn it, because otherwise I like. But all this stuff was just bought just to make the room look presentable for other people when they were visiting the house. It wasn't really bought for me in particular, so it just goes to show all the little bits that you don't know, right? But I'm very happy with these two plants. These are really cute, and I'm glad this is growing so much bigger, because the other person in the house had two of these similar palms, and they died. Miss Green Thumb, who grows everything with success, especially orchids, had a couple of these things, and they died. And it's like, oh, how can yours grow so big? I'm so jealous. And it's like, saying that all my orchids died, and their orchids are very developed and doing quite well. Orchids are a pain in the butt, because you want them to do well, and then no matter what you do, and they just end up crumbling and dying. So you're like, I think the first mistake I made there was waiting to put them in another pot. I waited until they were struggling before I moved them out of their bought pot into something new. So I think I should always remove them from their pot and put them in a new pot as soon as I buy them, because that was probably the crushing factor. But it was probably also lighting and whatever. So anyway, I will not remember my orchids. But plants always, like a lot of plants that you buy and your seeds, they grow and then they die all the time. It's like annoying. I'm just trying to grow something to keep something. But these two don't look like they'll die. They're not. They don't die during the seasons generally, except for those little bits back there. And generally, they're pretty good.